Hey guys, it's Scott and Steve from the Pragmatic Constitutionalist. We haven't been together in a little bit. How long has it been now, Scott, since you and I have been able to do this together?
It's been a while. It's been too long, actually, I think.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been too long. We've had a lot going on, both of us.
Yes, we have.
You were actually supposed to be in Kurdistan right now. What happened?
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, I was supposed to be in Kurdistan for the second time
Yeah.
in the last 2 months. And 2 days before I was supposed to fly out, Baghdad made a blanket closing of all airports for most Europeans and all Americans flying in country. So I had to halt the flight, and hopefully in the next month or so I'll finally be able to go back. So
You think there's an actual COVID concern there, or they just getting us back?
there is. I mean, there is. COVID. It does not. It actually is. It's entirely different there. The cycles are. So when it was bad here and started getting better, it would start getting bad there. And so it's been getting worse there, and it's been getting worse here and better there. And so they want to just,
Right.
eliminate any chances. I think last week on Monday, they had only 38 reported cases in the north, in the biggest city in Kurdistan, so that's pretty significant. Only 38 cases.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, that's not why we're here, but
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm not there.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're here, actually, because you know I need help all the time.
You need my love and help. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we should probably catch everybody up on everything else that's been going on. What should we talk about here?
Well, I think let's talk about just the road trip that happened since last we talked, and then the upcoming road trip for this year.
Yeah, my the TPC road trip 2020, which took me to about 18 different states between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, almost never ended, really. For me, it hasn't. I've only spent about 3 or 4 days in my own bed back home in Raleigh since then, because of what happened on the 6th and January the 6th in DC. But we had originally intended on January 6th being the launch date for me to head up to the Northeast. Now, there was 2 primary reasons why that didn't happen. I had already decided to, after attending the DC rally on the 6th, going back home for a week and then using that week to organize what was happening up north. And as you know, before Biden healed everything and businesses and restaurants and bars started opening again in the Northeast, which are supposed to start here in just a few days.
Don't give them too much of a messianic complex.
Right. But before that happened, we were having a difficult time finding venues for TPC meetups in various locations. There were a few places everybody was excited and had venues already scheduled, ready to go. But there was a lot of places I wanted to go that our hosts and our sponsors that were helping me out just said, don't even bother. We can't find a single, venue that we're allowed to host, even the smallest of meetings in. Well, that looks like that's going to be a lot easier now. So the delay, yeah.
It's funny. Everybody said, wait until November 5th, right? Everything's going to change. No, it was actually after January 6th, around January 20th.
January 20th, right.
They were 2.5 months off, but this outcome was still the same.
Yeah. They just missed it by a couple of months. But the bottom line is now I can spend some time booking the tour up. And so what I've decided to do, because unfortunately, as we've bemoaned way too often on these podcasts, being that I'm still not allowed to work, even though other people are opening, thank God they are. But my January calendar collapsed here several weeks ago. My February calendar is now completely collapsed. This is again due to lockdown extensions because of me being in the music business and the private event industry. I'm not allowed to, have large scale events, and then the economics of paring them down just don't work. I mean, it's just a matter under current capacity restrictions. It's just a matter of, okay, you guys can have your events, but that's assuming you all want to lose money, and that's the bands and the venues and such as that. And we choose not to lose money because we've been bleeding we've been bleeding it out for 10, 11 months now. And so now I'm in a position where I don't have a single thing on the calendar until late April. So I've got time to schedule and even add additional time and dates to the run. Whereas I was going to make it just maybe a couple of weeks. I can extend it out for 2 months if I want to, depending on how many people out there want to have me come and speak to their liberty groups or their meetups or whatever we can organize. So I'm going to actually begin again down in Florida where we started the last one, except this time I'm going to hit the east coast of Florida instead, because we were on the west coast last time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick up some of those locations where people wanted us to meet, like maybe down in Miami, Cocoa Beach area, Jacksonville, and then work our way up. And they wanted us to come to Georgia, and so we're going to pick up Georgia this time, and then just work our way straight up all the way up to
up 95.
Maine. Yeah, man. We're gonna go all the way to Maine, New Hampshire.
Wow.
And then when we dip back down, I'm going to come a little bit towards the Midwest and pick up Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, and then back home eventually.
And a big reason for that was because our initial push for this road trip wasn't being picked up by a lot of our followers. And it was late in the game, after everything was booked, that people started saying, hey, you're coming to Indiana. Hey, you're coming to Ohio. Why don't you come here, here, and here? And it was too late in the game to make any switches. So you're adding that now to second phase.
Yeah. And so I've got the time to do it now. And as I've said before, if this one goes well and we're able to actually have meetings and let's just, be perfectly honest, if the finances are available to make this happen, then we'll look out west as well, because just tons of people are asking us to come everywhere from Colorado, New Mexico, to Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington. So I would love to take the road trip out there as soon as possible as well.
That's wonderful. Well, I look forward to supporting that initiative, and those of you who were able to be a part of the original road trip in December and early January, or excuse me, December to right up to New Year. I know that we had a great response in most places, really good interaction. I know, as you've said many times, you learned so much from the people who attended, as much or more than what people learned from you.
Yeah,
So,
and that's part of it. It's as much a learning tour for me as anything else. Formulating ideas, plans, hearing the input from everyone really helps me focus on what we're doing here and what we're going to be doing in the future.
Excellent. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm excited. I hope you can get this going and get going and just rally the troops, as it were, and get people together, because honestly, everything has changed since last we talked.
Yeah.
Everything has changed, and it doesn't just go back to November 4th. We also would bump it up to January 6th, and your experience, at the rally and protest that has turned into a insurrection, as it were.
Yeah.
And so, how are you processing that? How are you doing? It's been a couple weeks now.
Yeah, 3. It's been was it 3 weeks? It's today one. Yeah, 3 weeks today. It's been, as I said, I haven't been home yet since DC. I don't want to cover a lot of territory because you and I, even though we haven't been together and done this back and forth conversation in several weeks, we have been together, because I did come to Tulsa for a few days and we worked on parsing out videos and doing some frame by frames, and so
it was great.
Yeah, those are being posted. We've got a couple of them up already. You've still got a couple yet to edit, and there's more to come. So I don't want to cover that territory, but as far as how I'm personally processing everything, I'm still taking it day to day. First of all, I still haven't fully discovered everything that is in those videos. I have some things I want to share with you, Scott, off of this meeting that I just learned a couple of days ago. That it's kind of I'm not trying to hype anything up, but something that is in our videos rattled me that I've recently stumbled upon, and somebody else found it. I didn't discover
okay.
it. So I need to go over that with you and talk to you about that offline. But the other thing is just personally, everybody keeps asking, how am I doing? Have I been arrested yet? No, I'm a fugitive. I'm still on the lam. I'm in the wind, not really. I keep saying over and over and over and over again, they have my phone number. All they have to do is call. I'm not hiding from anyone. I'm not, I'm not paying for my gasoline with, cash and avoiding using credit cards. I'm not running from anybody. I've been, static and in the same location now for a week and a half. I'm in Louisiana at present after spending 3 days with you in Tulsa. I came down to
Yep.
Louisiana, and I have been concerned. I do read the articles. Just read another one this morning where there's something like 400 open cases that the FBI has for people that were inside the building, and they're talking about really pushing the Insurrection Act on these or the insurrection charges on a lot of these people. No, I'm sorry. Sedition. So they're talking about
Of sedition.
right, throwing sedition charges at a lot of these people, and to some extent, if you read the Sedition Act, there are certainly some people that this applies to. It does not apply to that vast, overwhelming majority of people that went in there just as they were just shocked because the doors were open. Look. There was the battle lines, and we know about those, and you and I have analyzed those. There were, in fact, several hundred operatives on the front lines. They weren't necessarily on the front lines, but they were there in the crowd. They were there from the Proud Boys. They were there from the Three Percenters. They were there from militias. They were there from Antifa. They were there from other groups that, we
BLM.
don't know who they are. Yeah, but we just don't know who all was in the crowd that actually, the acting as provocateurs, and who were attacking the police, and who were pushing down barricades, and who were busting out windows. Were there some just basic Trump people involved in that? Yeah, of course there were. We have that on video, and we have it very, very well documented. But the vast majority of the people that quote unquote breached the Capitol, they didn't breach the Capitol. They were just out in the crowd, and then all of a sudden they saw these long lines, these, and they were entering at several areas, and the doors were thrown open, and
people were just following the people in front.
Right, and
Like,
cops
something's changed.
stood aside, and people just wandered in, and they're like, oh wow, they didn't do it. They weren't fighting, they weren't participating in the scrum line up there. They weren't participating. They weren't spraying the cops with bear spray. They weren't throwing bottles at them. They weren't hitting them. They weren't pulling down barricades. They weren't breaking windows. They weren't busting doors down. They just were outside watching all of this with their mouths hanging open like the rest of us. And all of a sudden, large amounts of people are flowing into the building. They're like, oh, cool, we can go in. So they went in. And there, those who only did that up to this point have been receiving some variant of a trespassing charge. So I think that if that comes my way, I think that I can handle that to a certain extent. I'll be able to handle it. I still may fight it because I, as you know, documented well in advance of January 6th that I was going to cover the rally, and that I was going to document it, and then that was my reason for being there. Not as a Trump supporter, not as a Trumpophile, a Trumpster, anything of the type, but was going to document the event. I think everybody, thought that that day was when the Kraken was going to be unleashed, and nobody knew that, at least on our side of information and knowledge, knew that what was going to happen at the Capitol was going to happen. That was a complete surprise, but it wasn't a surprise to them. And again, this is something that you and I have already documented, so we don't need to go into that right now. But even the FBI, the Capitol Police, certain Congress creeps, quite a few in the media are finally acknowledging that what happened at the Capitol was a pre-planned and well-planned event, and it's just now a matter of identifying who the participants were and who actually, whether there was a conspiracy to plan that event. And that's some of the things I want to talk to you about offline here when we get done.
Okay. Well, good. We've got a couple more videos that we'll be putting out in the next week on the post protest insurrection seditious act
Domestic
events.
terrorism.
Domestic terrorism, yes. Wow. So that was all. That all came about as a result of the inauguration, or the looming inauguration of our new president, Joseph Biden. Um, how do you think? The second coming is happening?
Well,
With
it is. It is.
President
It is the second coming of the Obama administration, or somebody would say his third term. Um, you know, it's kind of funny. I think he's what is he up to now? Here, these 7 days in office, he is like up to 35, 37 executive orders now, something like
Yeah.
that. He's breaking records left and right, much more than Trump and Obama and Bush and everyone else that has preceded him.
It's like he ate too much at Taco Bell and he's farting them out like crazy.
Yeah, the thing that is most what's the word? The thing that's most significant about what he's doing is how much of what he promised to do. I mean, let's face it. He's keeping his promises in a certain extent. He's enacting these environmental executive orders, such as shutting down, the Keystone Pipeline. But another promise that he made was that he was going to bring jobs back. All those jobs that Trump killed by his ineffective management of the COVID crisis. Well, instead of bringing jobs back, with each executive order, he seems to be killing more jobs. I mean, he's killed tens of thousands by virtue of the Keystone Pipeline being shut down. And then there's the trickle down effect. I don't care whether you believe in trickle down or not. The phrase trickle down, the concept, it is real.
It is real.
It works up.
You don't have
and
to like it.
Down, right?
It's real.
Yeah, I don't care if just because it was something that was coined during the Reagan administration does not mean that it's not real. What the trickle down effect of this is now you're going to lose all of these extremely high paying jobs. Oh, union jobs, by the way, because the unions are really upset with Biden because they supported him, and now they've taken a knife in the back for their support. And so these high paying jobs, not only are they also um, uh, the recipients of those high paying jobs are big taxpayers, as you know, because they're in upper income brackets. So there's a lot of money going to state, local, federal government in taxes. But without these jobs in there, then you start losing all the trickle down effect of that money flowing into local economies. And then you have the trickle down of the loss of jobs in those local communities where those jobs have now been nixed. And then, what was it? What I think it's today. He's signing a new order where they're going to be granting no more leases on federal lands. They're going to protect for the environment and for the future. They're going to protect.
Yeah, and that specific thing is actually doing a lot of damage to my new home state, Oklahoma. Obviously, a large oil and gas presence here, and really the oil boom in America started here, just south of where I'm at in Glenpool. And so I've had a number of friends in the oil and gas industry that are concerned for their jobs. They somehow made it through. I've got extended family that are actually in the business, that provide materials for wells and fracking and drilling and the like. So there's a lot of real concern that somehow they made it through what was a terrible situation last year, but it looks like they may not make it that much longer. And
the going back to the trickle down, the net effect of potentially losing, giving away our newfound energy independence and being put back in a position where we have to start importing energy again.
Yeah. Asinine.
Here we go. $4, $5 gas. Is that where we're headed? I don't know. I mean, but then again, how is that benefiting the average American if we end up bleeding out of our bank accounts money that we need just to, pay our bills. And that's the case with most Americans. It doesn't happen. The elites aren't worried about that. They've got enough revenue and enough cash flow and enough job security coming from their government jobs and that sort of thing. But they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But the average American has mortgage payments to make, and all of a sudden, if their monthly fuel costs jump from $200 a month to $600 a month, something is not going to get paid for. And that's what kicked off the mortgage crisis back in 2008. And
Yeah.
not very many people know this, but it was very, very, very simple. $4 gasoline exposed the bubble, and that was the impetus to that entire crisis. So we may be headed back there again. And then again, a campaign promise. The left has always loved the concept of a $15 minimum wage, and now he's talking about popping all these small mom and pop businesses that have been out of business for 10 months with a $15 minimum. Okay, yeah, all right, great, wonderful. You can go back to work now. You can now open your restaurant, of course, at reduced capacity. You still can't have a full restaurant. You still can't have a full bar, which means you're still not making any money, which means you may not even be breaking even once you know the economics of how thin the margins are that the restaurant business works upon, especially the small stores, small shops, small restaurants, cafes, diners, such as that. But once that happens, and now they're forced to pay their servers a minimum of $15 an hour, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like
to quote the president, "Come on, man!
Come on, man!
Come on, man!"
Come on,
I mean,
man!
how simple is this? And I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're on the left. I'm a Democrat. If you're a Republican, if you're a Trumpster, if you're a Trump hater, this has nothing to do with it. This is just surviving in America today. I read just a couple of days ago, either Wall Street Journal, Forbes, or something like 14 million people still have not been able to go back to work because of the COVID situation specifically. I'm one of those. Everyone in the music business, everybody in the private event business, the entertainment industry, we have not been allowed to go back to work. And some people think, oh, I see people playing, duos on a patio at a restaurant, or a cafe or a bar somewhere in Florida. You can work there. No, you can't. I don't live there. It costs way too much money for me to get there. That's not what I do. And those people aren't.
And did you see, I'm interrupting you here real quick, and did you see, having just been a very recent former resident of Florida, the administration is now foisting the idea that in order to limit outbreak of COVID, they're demanding closure of bars, restaurants in Florida. And they want absolute totalitarian control and shutting everything down again, like they did, like the Gruber Fuhrer, in North Carolina did. It's essentially what they want to do in Florida, and kill what semblance of an economy they have there.
Yeah, and Florida, of course, because of their limited lockdown impositions, have been much more successful here recently economically.
Oh yeah, I mean, my girls on the way last night, we were running an errand, and they said, Dad, it's crazy because they went to Cocoa Beach High School, and in the first semester of this last year, they only knew of a small handful number of COVID cases at their high school, and and they were like, Dad, nobody wears masks at school. Why are things? Is it just like the Magic Kingdom has this special power all throughout the central part of Florida, and nobody gets that gets sick? Then they posited that, well, they don't have any interior hallways. They just have buildings, and they walk outside because the weather's always still lovely there. And so they're wondering if, when the students are congregating in the passageways, it's all outdoors. There's always a nice sea breeze going on, and it's warm. And so all of these things that were posited early on, warmth, fresh air, sea breezes, all that stuff is going to be better. Well, it's actually playing out. I mean, here in Oklahoma, it's one of the worst places in America for COVID infection. And I'm getting daily texts from the junior high and high school that, there's infections, but there in Florida, it's not.
Mm. And despite all of the numbers, well, we wasn't necessarily ready to make a turn into COVID update and analysis yet, but we do know that one of the other things that our president has done recently is he, of course, after promising to kill the virus and to eradicate it in 100 days or whatever it was he said that he was going to do.
He has a
Now
plan.
he has completely. Well, yeah, he had a plan. But unfortunately, that plan has now turned into something where he has admitted that there's nothing he can do about the trajectory of the virus in the coming months, and we already know that. But part of the plan is, of course, the WHO released new directives for people on how they were getting, processing their PCR tests so that there weren't as many false positives. And we know that the infection rate itself has been highly inflated because of the number of because of the type of processing that they were doing on these PCR tests. They were far too sensitive, and as a result, they were picking up people that had had a corona cold virus 30 years ago, whatever, and so they had the sensitivity turned up so high that they were, oh my gosh, you were infected with COVID. Well, no, they just had, at some other point, they had a different type of flu or a different type of cold that would be classified as a corona type of virus. And so the WHO has finally admitted and directed medical units all over the country to readjust their testing. So, but going back to where we were, the thing about this $15 minimum wage, that is kicking middle America while they're down. That is kicking the restaurant industry, the bar industry, the event industry while they're down. We've been out of work for over 10. I'm going on 11 months. We're getting close. We're getting close to a year. I mean, before this, and I have no idea when my industry sector is going to open back up. But by the time it does, I will have been out of work for over a year. And so the wage itself is just putting a boot right in our ass while we're already down, because these companies, these restaurants, even the event planners who hire catering staff that work in the middle of the night for minimum wage or $10 an hour, whatever they're making. These are entry level jobs. These are young people by and large. These are people that are working in college and they're working night shifts, and we've all been out of work for a year, and now they're going to force us to double the income of the people, setting up tables and serving tables and pouring water in glasses, that sort of thing. So it is a campaign promise kept on Biden's behalf, but it is actually not anything that's doing America any favors whatsoever. And as we said before, now just wait for the trickle down effect, because you don't cut off our energy sector, you don't take away tens of thousands of high paying jobs, you don't drive gasoline prices up, and you don't force businesses that can't stay open even now and are closing at rapid. They're still. I get newsletters that I'm subscribed to from news all over the country about music venues that are still, they hung on as long as they can, and they're closing every day. They're going out of business permanently. And the ones that are hanging on for dear life, and now you're telling them that they've got to double their salaries for their entry level employees. It's just absolutely insane. And so all that's going to do is result in domino effect inflation, and snowballing inflation, however you want to analogize that. But that's exactly what's going to happen. So everything is going to be more expensive on the other side. You're going to it's already bad enough that a double Whopper with cheese, just the sandwich only, is already $8, right? Okay, well, let's kick everybody inside that store up to $15 and watch that burger go up to 12. And so it's not doing Americans any favor. But that's favors. But that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, so segueing back, we're kind of dancing between the wages, and then we talked about COVID, and so it leads me to back to a messianic potential here with our new president.
Mm-hmm.
Has he healed COVID? I mean, Comrade Cuomo is making changes. Mayor Beetlejuice. I mean, there's a number of
Right.
these different places that are now suddenly opening, and you know, has he?
Yeah,
Healed?
California's governor has talked about the importance of getting their restaurant industry back open.
Yeah,
But that may or
shocking.
may not be necessarily a result of Biden's hand, healing hand. It may actually. Whoa!
Oh my gosh!
What the heck was that? And I
Tell
even
her I
had the
said
sound.
hello.
I need to turn that off. Yeah, that was an interesting call right there. So I had I have no doubt that in Gavin Newsom's case, it had nothing to do with Biden's healing hand. It has to do with the fact that the recall petitions were getting
it's looking
close
scary.
to working. So
It's looking scary
he
for
thought,
him.
okay, well, let's open everybody up.
Yeah, a little late in the
I've
game.
lost you. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hold on a second. I've lost you. I can't hear you now suddenly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't know how I lost you, but I did. You still there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want that noise to happen again. So
Okay.
let's see if that one turns it off. Okay, without losing you. Okay. Anyway, with what I was saying is that there's so many hypocrisies still revealing themselves every single day. I mean, okay, just this morning, I wake up to the news that experts are now saying that we should not wear just 2 masks, but 3 masks would even be better. Yeah. 2 masks are 75% more. Okay. I know math runs everybody, it makes everybody crazy. All right. So we already know from the Danish mask study, the largest study of its kind related specifically to COVID, that for the wearer of the mask, it was 97% ineffective. There still has yet to be studies on how effective it actually is in relation to the transmission side.
Yeah.
So for the
on the other.
all right. So that part is something that Facebook dinged us for and said we were putting out false information, and we did not. We quoted the study exactly as it was, and they just didn't like it. All right. So and I didn't alter the information that the study had not effectively analyzed both sides yet, but we took the hit. The next thing is that they're saying that 2 masks increase the effectivity by 75% over a single mask. Okay. So if it's 97% ineffective and now it's 75% more effective than 97%. So now how effective is it? Those of you out there running the numbers.
22%.
It's about we're up to so if we were starting at 3% effective, we're somewhere between we're somewhere now between 5 and 6% effective. Okay, but if you wear 3 masks, it increased the effectivity by 90%. So suddenly we're only 3% effective. We're almost up to a full 6% effective if you wear 3 masks. This is the real math. So when you see these studies that say wearing 2 masks makes them 75% more effective, that doesn't mean that suddenly they're almost foolproof. That means they went from 3% effective to just over 5% effective, right? I mean, that's how the math works, but that's not the way the headlines work, and that's not the way people are influenced and brainwashed. And so now 3 masks make it 90% more effective. It's still not even 6% effective yet, which means that they're still 94% ineffective in terms of helping you protect you from the disease itself. So
if I'm a Brit, that would be basically bloody ineffective.
Right, bloody ineffective. Yeah, but that's what we're working against. We're working against headlines and fear mongering and hysteria. We're not, as my buddy Edmund Wright says. He said we've got to stop following the science and we've got to start looking at the math. But unfortunately, the math is hard and stuff. And until you understand how those numbers work, they can manipulate the headlines so easily with those types of numbers.
Yeah.
90% more effective. Well,
Yeah.
90% of what? 90% of 3%? Yeah, that's not a big jump enough for me to suffocate myself with 3 masks on. But hey, it's beyond parody now. That's exactly what the headline said this morning.
Well, I think it's a good
yeah.
segue now to go to part of the challenge that we have on Facebook for the last 2.5 months, almost 3 months, has been us being silenced of reaching our audience. A lot of it because you were just posting articles that were contrary to the narrative, and you were sharing them and you were getting dinged, just like you talked about the Danish study. We've had more than 3 strikes. We just got a recent strike last week, and we're down to just a handful of likes and shares now of our 35,000 plus followers. Where are we at on Facebook and other social media updates?
Yeah, just a quick update on the Facebook page with 35,000 followers. It's down to just a few hundred that are even seeing what we're doing. Facebook likes to measure things by reach, and I've covered. This is another dead horse we don't need to beat too severely any longer. But when before the election, the average post that I put up would run anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 people would actually see that it existed. In other words, it would show up in their news feeds. Okay. So out of 35,000 followers, my average post was seen between 25 to 50,000 people. Sometimes, a lot more, sometimes a little bit less, but that was the typical number. So if I posted 3 different things per day, whether they were blogs, whether they were articles, whether they were just a quick analysis on some, news headline of the day, we would be seen anywhere from 75,000 to 150,000 people per day. That's how many people were actually seeing the Pragmatic Constitutionalist show up in their newsfeed. After all of these dings that we were taking, we are only being seen by 50,000 people per month. And that's no matter how many posts I make per day. I mean, I can throw them out there as hard and fast as I can put them out there, but we're averaging right at 50,000 per month. And that's less than our average per day before the election. So that shows you how hard we've been hit. My last ding, which happened this just a few days ago, was an opinion comment that I made. I made an opinion comment on an opinion piece, and they fact checked me with another opinion piece. There was no facts in dispute. It was opinions. So when you are being fact checked by an opinion piece, that it's just not worth the fight anymore. So I'm not fighting it anymore. I did some things yesterday to go in and capture some of my old data, and I'm going to spend some more time on that today because I don't want to lose a lot that I've not been able to save yet. So we're working on that. And then I'm just going to let it come what may. If they deplatform us, they deplatform us. But we're effectively on MeWe now. And yes, guys, I'm seeing the rumors that MeWe is caving to big tech. I don't think they're caving so much as that they are. I don't have any real evidence that they're going to put on the exact same level of restrictions and deplatforming that both Facebook and Twitter have been doing. There's no indication of that yet. Although people saying, "Oh yeah, they're all pulling," but look, they are. There's some people calling for violence on other sites. Okay, pull them down. I'm not calling for violence. Never have. If you are absolutely calling you know, we know this is one of the hypocrisies over on Twitter. You know, all these big conservative and libertarian voices have been pulled down off Twitter. Who was just, oh yeah, the My Pillow guy just got permanently deleted the other day. You know, we could go down a long list of those who have been deplatformed on Twitter, but the Ayatollah is still there. You know, they call against, you know, they call for, you know,
Death
the
to
great
America.
Satan of the United States to be, you know, death to America all the time. Yet they're still out there. They're still, and you know, you can't get past such blatant hypocrisy from the people that are running those, you know, big tech companies when that's just staring us in the face. I have no problem with MeWe deplatforming people that are calling for, whether it's death to America or, you know, death to the president. If they're calling for that, well, then, you know, that's actually a crime. You know, threatening the president's life, whether it's Biden or Trump, is an actual federal crime. Don't do it. And if you do, then you should be deplatformed. But I don't see the signs yet that we have to worry about MeWe like we are from Twitter and Facebook. But we're also on Gab finally. That took quite a few efforts because their servers are so overwhelmed right now with millions of people, particularly since Parler went down. They're overwhelmed, and it's still having some problems with it. But we're going to start, you know, adding some content there as we go, and we've paid for the premium service there, so we're going to start using the Gab TV and loading our videos up there. Just haven't had time to get to all of that yet. As far as
We're on Rumble. We're on Rumble.
Yeah. So our more controversial videos, the ones that YouTube and Facebook will not allow for, you know, particularly the battle scenes that took place on the Capitol steps on January 6th, are not allowed on Facebook and YouTube. So we posted those on Rumble. It's not very complicated. We don't need to post links to everything, but they'll probably be down here at the bottom of this podcast at the if you go and see that on YouTube and wherever else, all the other social media pages, because there's no battle scenes yet. You and I are not fighting at this moment, so we should be fine posting this on Facebook and elsewhere.
Yeah.
But when the images are a little bit stark, they'll be on Rumble and Gab. When the images are calm and, you know, and flowery and sedate and, you know, puppies and cute little seals and stuff like that, then it'll be on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else those types of images are allowed. But we're obviously most excited about what we're doing on Locals. Locals is now becoming, we said it was going to become our main hub for monetization of TPC and for access to exclusive content. And if you haven't, and okay, let me back up again. A lot of people don't want to add another social media site. Totally get it. Let me tell you, I don't want to either. I never used Twitter. Are we on Twitter? Yeah, I got, 3 followers over there. I just don't have time for it. We have been forced into adding MeWe, and then of course we added Parler, and then we were forced into adding Gab, and then everybody else was supposed to be over here and over here and over. I can't do them all. You can't do them all. We don't have time to do them all. We're going to have to focus on 2 or 3 free speech platforms, places that we hope nobody has the off switch to. But as I've talked about before, there's an off switch to everything. It can all be turned off eventually. But we seem to be safer on MeWe, safer on Gab, safer on Rumble, safer on Locals right now. But Locals, I don't want anybody to look at this and have this expectation that it's a typical social media thing. It's actually more of a community that I happen to be the mayor of. Maybe that's the best way to look at it. Yeah, and you have the option, like in a libertarian world, of not paying taxes in my town, or you can pay a very, very minimal tax of $5 a month and get access to featured and exclusive content. and obviously the opportunity to participate more in the community functions. But you can be a hermit if you want to and just come in there and read everything. You don't have to participate. You don't have to like anything. You don't have to comment on anything. You don't have to post anything. You can just come in and read the comment, because basically we're mirroring everything that goes on Facebook and MeWe and elsewhere is going to all be mirrored on Locals, and that is accessible 100% for free.
Yep.
Now, if you want to engage in the community, uh, the mayor charges $5 a month. So that's how low, our paywall is there. And so we are putting out more exclusive content now. I just this morning I uploaded a story that will either endear everyone to me or scare everybody away. It's one of my dreams. I have for years written down and chronicled or journaled my most significant dreams, and this is one that I had about 8 years ago, and it's just bizarre. I dream in science fiction quite often, and this is one of those moments where it's bizarro land, and I was so amused by it when I woke up that morning. I immediately, grabbed my computer and started writing down what I had seen in my dream. Because if you don't write your dreams down, they're lost, because they're only stored in short-term memory. They go away very, very quickly. But if you write them down, then you have them. And so this is one that I was so amused by. I woke up laughing. It was so bizarre, and so I wrote it down, and it's going
That's
to
up
give
on
everybody.
Locals now, right? That's up on Locals.
Yeah, it is up on Locals right now, but it is one of those exclusive supporters only posts.
So,
I don't know if I
so
want the whole
people have to
post.
pay $5 to get inside your mind, like.
Yes, they get to into the deepest, darkest recesses of my mind.
Yeah.
Exact,
So
my subconscious.
be aware.
For $5,
Yeah.
pretty cheap. Yeah. Um, Yeah, you pay a lot more from that to a psychologist. But the bottom line is that we really are wanting people to understand that this is not another social media site. Okay, it's not that at all. It's like a Patreon. I think most people know what Patreon is. It's a content creator site. Locals was founded a couple of years ago by Dave Rubin. We all know who Dave Rubin is, and Dave wanted a site for content creators who didn't have to worry about their speech being shut down. And again, he's adhering to the law, and he's very open about that. If you break the law in your speech, they will deplatform you from Locals. But that's a big difference from speaking your mind and speaking your opinion and talking about conservative or libertarian politics. And so this is a safe zone for that without being worry of being deplatformed, which we had to worry about on Patreon, because we considered going up on Patreon
Yeah.
as our
Yeah.
monetization site. But they are, in fact, they are hitting conservative and libertarian voices over there, liberty patriot voices. So they're taking them down over there. So we opted to go with Dave Rubin's Locals, and it's simple, it's clean, it's easy to follow, it's easy to sign up for. Go in there and just take a look at it for free. And as I said, you're not going to see, if you're following us on Facebook and you're actually able to see what we do on Facebook, or you're following us on MeWe and you're able to see what we're doing there, you're going to just see duplicate content on Locals that you are already seeing. So there's no super duper value for you being there otherwise. But the other thing about Locals is if you just want to see content from the Pragmatic Constitutionalist, that's all you have to opt for. So you're not getting 1,000 other
Yeah.
things in
Yeah.
your news feed. You're
Yeah. That's
getting
important.
0 ads. Right. You're getting 0 ads. So it's not like you see two things. You see a post from your grandmother and a post from your aunt or your uncle or your cousin or whatever, and then you see another ad, and so there's no forced content being jammed down your throat on Locals at all. So you get to pick what you want to see. Now, if you like what you see from TPC, and then maybe you want to go follow Dave Rubin himself, or Tulsi Gabbard is there. If you're if you're a Tulsi Gabbard fan and you want to click those options as well, now you'll see all three of their feeds in your content, but you get to choose. It's not algorithm driven like Facebook and Twitter, where they're forcing content down your throat. So you get to pick and choose. So that's the first advantage. The second advantage is that if you do decide to support us for the, one Starbucks, well, this is actually a Panera, but the cost of, one Starbucks a month, then we're going to give you exclusive content that you're not going to get anywhere else. So, and then that helps us pay for what we're doing. I mean, we just, look, I have not just been on the road for a couple of months now, and the generosity of many of our followers have helped us afford to do that. But the business of just maintaining what we're doing here, just as a, for instance, because of our increased bandwidth use, we're having to upgrade to the pro level of every single service that we use, whether it's Zoom. We just upgraded. I mean, I had to, because of the amount of video that we're sharing back and forth, our file sharing service, we just had to upgrade that. And so it's just like, it's like every other day I'm having to throw $100 here and $150 there. And, and people have no idea how expensive it is to maintain and just to do this. And we're still in the growing phase. So a lot of this is all initial investment thing for us since May, June, but it is hopefully getting better and hopefully becoming more attractive. And hopefully it's the type of content that you're going to be willing to share. Like, just for instance, this conversation today has been just a lot of information. There's no earth-shattering news here. This is just me and Scott kind of updating everybody that cares about what we've been doing for the last several years, just kind of giving you an update on the day-to-day mechanics. We covered a few things. We've covered Biden. We've covered COVID. We've covered. We talked a little bit about the 6th. We've talked about masks. We've talked about Facebook's deplatforming. We have talked about some current event type things here today, but we're really just kind of been getting you guys up to speed, and that's okay too. If you want to hang out and listen to us do that, then it's fine. We're going to talk amongst ourselves. If we have to, if it's just me and Scott, it'll just be me and Scott. But if you guys are enjoying knowing what it takes to do this thing and to build this thing from the ground up, because we're not there. We're not the Blaze. We're not Daily Wire, and then we're not Ben Shapiro. We're not Steven Crowder. Don't know whether to what heights we will ascend in terms of comparison to those big followings right now. Did you know that? Speaking of that, this blew me away. Did you know that Steven Crowder's election night coverage dwarfed all the major news networks?
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
Right. His costume coverage alone, he had 15 million viewers, more than Fox, more than CNN, more than MSNBC. He killed them all. And basically doing that, as a streaming, online stream. That's just amazing. He knocked them all down. He's quite a talent, and good for him. And for those of you that pray, he's got some serious health problems that he's just revealed in the last couple of days that he's dealing with, some heart problems. And then that's why he's been off the air for quite some time, that and a couple of other things. But he is, he's something else. So I don't know, I'm not trying to compare us in any way, shape, or form to anybody right now, because you and I are just still, we're manning the boat by ourselves, and we'll see where it goes. But a lot of that is dependent upon how much of the support that we can get here in the, look, even though the support has been there, 90% of what we've done in the last 10, well, since I guess you and I started working on this together in May, was it something like that?
Yeah.
But
yeah. April.
Yeah. April. So 90% of what has been spent in order to launch the expansion project here has come out of our own pockets, still yet to this, today. And that's without income coming in from our normal life sources. So anything you guys can do, we ask for nothing more than just jumping on there and doing the 5 months on Locals, which is the Pragmatic Constitutionalist.locals.com. If you can do more, we are, to be honest, we are looking for a couple of, 2 or 3 significant patrons to really undergird the expansion plans and what we have in our minds. If you're one of those people that really, 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 really believe in what we're doing, and maybe would like to even be a bigger part of this, not just financially, but provide help and services in some other way. But we do have a donate page also on the website, the pragmaticconstitutionalist.com, and you can go there for larger amounts. Now you can commit larger money. I think Locals even has a one-time donation.
Yeah, one time
well.
you can do recurring. There's multiple options. 5 is just kind of standard benchmark that Locals recommends that we do, because Ruben does the same number, as
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either one, the donate page on the website or on Locals is great, and it's always appreciated. So anything else that we need to cover, Scott, or do we need to get the heck out of here?
We got everything covered, and we're at 55 minutes right now, so I think that's a good time to tap out.
Yeah, let's do that. Guys, once again, thank you so much for everything. I have been able to pour out quite a bit more content here recently because I've been stable for the last week and a half in one place, which I haven't been in one place this long since Thanksgiving. I'm probably going to be here in Louisiana for a few more days, and then I'm going to relocate and get down to Florida and start my run there. And I'll be updating everybody on the meetup locations and that sort of thing just as soon as I'm able to make those come to life. So looking for the next trip. Yeah, and seeing everybody out there. And then all you West Coast guys, yes, we're coming. I promise. We're going to get there. And unfortunately for me, but fortunately for TPC and those who do want to spend some time with me in person, my calendar is going to facilitate the time for us to get out there. So we're going to head west soon.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it. We've had a great time. Hope you feel updated on where things are as of today, and we will be talking to you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks. Take care.